All right, so I figured I'd do a little video on the Wadkin WX pattern mill and also the differences between the little 103 Oliver over there. First things first, it's big, it's tall. I'm fairly tall, and that's as high as I can reach for the up and down hand wheel for the manual. This would have been the original controls for everything. It's been unhooked when all the updated, more current, easier to get parts for electrical controls and starters were put in. This just locks the head from spinning. It does have some positive stops right there. Run that this way, and then you can revolve this hand wheel, makes that spin. You can lock it in. One thing I noticed with this, and this is kind of nice, I like this, you've got depth stops basically, and it's broken down into a scale. But the reality of it is you've got about a 3-inch spindle throw. That's the lock for your spindle depth. Now that motor in there, I'll walk around. That's a frequency drive. And that's basically so when you change speeds, the motor has 2 speeds, high and low. And then it also has your high and low, you have your speed selection range up here, which is almost impossible to reach. But you've got 1350, 2700, and then you have 1800, 2250, 4500, and 3600. The frequency changer in there will basically keep this so it is 5 horsepower in the high range, and in the low range, low speed, low windings, it only drops to 4 horsepower. On the Oliver, it's a 2-speed motor, and then you have 2 steps for speeds with the pulleys up there. But that is 5 horsepower at high speed, and then low speed it does drop to 2.5 horsepower. So you do lose some power going down to your lower speeds. Here's the big giant table. This hand wheel traverses it left and right. You've got some locks and stops in here. You've got that little hand wheel. Moves the table that way. The big one traverses the top, left and right. It does spin. It spins in 2 places actually. It spins down here, and it also spins right here. And that one's got a scale on it with your degrees. There are some extra little stops and things that I've got for it. I got it set in the ground, and it's fairly level. Not the prettiest way to level it. Probably have to make some leveling mounts that I can run down through these holes, the pads, and be able to push it up and down some. But for now, it's actually pretty level. If I set it up and actually use it for something really important, I'd have to get out and tram everything in and really get the splitting hairs on, getting it really level. Show you the tooling. This is a stub Morris Taper 5. Now the planer head here for this one actually does have a stub thread, spindle thread, stub thread that goes in. The other ones don't really have that. They basically go into here. And it's pretty hard to see, but it's just a small spindle. There is a hole in the top. But then this Allen jams into that, pushes it up and locks it in. It's not a huge engagement. If you look at the Oliver's tooling is in the left. It is a Morris Taper 4 with a drawbar. Now that's a fairly common tooling to find. And the drawbar, that's an old one that was off. It was kind of boogered up on the end. But the drawbar drops down right there, and you tighten into your tooling there. There's that's an ER32 collet type chuck in there. So it lets me grab a hold of a lot of different things, sizes, easy, just like that. I'll walk over and I just opened up some of the tooling to look for a couple things. You can see there's a lot of hold downs and hold down clamps. There's no real material clamps on this. It's all done with hold downs. Some interesting tooling. There's a little there's another little one in here too. Knives. They were using quite a lot of end mills as well. They had made quite a few. I think somebody had come along and made quite a few extra ones of these to hold different size end mills and cutters. It does have the, I think they call it a right angle traversing attachment. You can run a few different cutters out of that thing. You can run tooling in this end, and you can run tooling out of this end. The one nice thing I like about the Oliver, going back to this with the hold downs. Your only way to hold your material down is to clamp it down with some hold downs, like a regular milling machine. The Oliver does have these clamps, which can be spread out across the table. Yeah, the table's smaller, but I do like the clamps. The Oliver has all your movements in and out, left and right. The table rotates. It is power, transverse left and right. I do have the covers that go over the ways right here. But it's power left and right, 4 speeds. So that is nice. I don't have to crank the table back and forth. There's the tooling. Came with that. Now I got this powered up. I'll go ahead and I'll run it down. I can walk back a little bit. Just back up, and then we'll start the spindle. You can see that motor in there kicks on. That's your frequency drive like I showed you earlier. That's it. This pendant was wired in and replaces the joystick. The pendant's nice, hanging from the ceiling, and you can kind of swing it around and move it with you where you go. You've still got a centering plate, just like the Oliver. The Oliver is a little bit easier to reach everything. I mean, obviously it's a smaller machine. I've got, it has almost 7 inches of spindle travel. You got the same raise and lower. This is your manual up and down. You unlock the handle and then you can run it up and down. You've got manual left and right on the table here as well. You lock that and it powers it left and right. You can go left. My thing, I still need to adjust the brake a little bit better so the table stops faster when you shut it off. You've got your 2 speeds here, fast, slow, and you've got 2 more speeds via the belts there. So we can pick forward and then we'll hit fast. And we'll hit stop. And then we can put it into, go back to forward, we'll go slow. That's kind of the main differences. This doesn't take up quite as much space, not as much ceiling height. A few differences. This is a little over 9 feet tall. See if I can get both of them. I mean, you can kind of see how close it is to that line and high on the wall. The Oliver is most definitely easier to reach everything. The Wadkin has some more capacity. I think there's a few more options that are easier to use on the table. No, I guess it really all depends if you've got tooling or not.